The date, January 31st, 1943. The place, the skies above Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. The fate of the Pacific Theater hung precariously in the balance. The United States Navy was locked in a desperate struggle for control of the strategic island. Among the brave American pilots who took to the skies that day was First Lieutenant Jefferson Deblank, a young man from Louisiana with a steely resolve and an unwavering sense of duty. Deblank was a skilled aviator, fiercely devoted to his squadron, and deeply committed to protecting his country. On this day, Deblank was tasked with leading a group of F-4F Wildcat fighter planes on a mission of paramount importance, to escort 12 Douglas SBD Dauntless dive bombers to their target, the Japanese airfield at Kolombangara. The mission was fraught with danger. The Japanese had a fierce reputation. The skies above Kolombangara were heavily defended. But Deblank and his men were determined to succeed. They knew that the success of the bombing raid depended on their ability to protect the bombers. The American planes soared through the clear blue sky, the roar of their engines a defiant challenge to the enemy. The sun glinted off their wings as they flew in tight formation, each pilot alert for any sign of danger. Deblank, ever vigilant, scanned the horizon, his eyes searching for any sign of enemy aircraft. Suddenly, his gaze fell upon a sight that sent a chill down his spine. His fuel gauge was plummeting, a fuel leak. He realized with a sinking heart that he would not be able to complete the mission. Deblank knew that he had to make a decision, and he had to make it quickly. He couldn't turn back, not with the bombers depending on him. He also couldn't risk his entire squadron. With a heavy heart, he ordered his wingman, Sergeant Jim Felleton, to stay with him while the rest of the squadron continued with the bombers. Alone now, Deblank and Felleton flew towards their rendezvous point, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. They knew that they were sitting ducks, easy targets for the Japanese fighters. As if on cue, the sky erupted in a symphony of fire and fury. A squadron of 10 Japanese Nakajima Kai-43 Oscar fighters screamed down upon them, their guns blazing. Deblank and Felleton were hopelessly outnumbered, outgunned and outmaneuvered, but they refused to give up without a fight. What followed was an aerial ballet of death, a whirlwind of twisting metal and roaring engines. Deblank, despite the dire circumstances, seemed to be everywhere at once, his Wildcat dancing through the sky, dodging enemy fire with an almost supernatural grace. He pulled off maneuvers that defied logic and gravity, his plane a blur of motion as he outmaneuvered his opponents. Deblanc's skill and courage were nothing short of extraordinary. He fought like a man possessed, his guns spitting fire and vengeance. He scored hit after hit on the enemy aircraft, sending them spiraling down in flames. But the Japanese were relentless. They swarmed his Wildcat like angry bees, their guns spitting a hail of bullets. Deblanc's plane was hit multiple times, the air filling with the acrid smell of smoke and burning metal. Deblank knew that his plane was doomed. He had stayed in the fight long enough for the bombers to complete their mission and escape. Now, he had to save himself. With a heavy heart, he muttered a silent prayer and bailed out of his stricken aircraft, his parachute blossoming open above him like a white flower of hope. Down below, the ocean awaited. It was not the welcoming embrace of a savior but the cold, unforgiving maw of a hungry beast. The ocean was a vast and unforgiving expanse of blue, its surface whipped into a frenzy by the wind. The waves crashed down upon him, threatening to drag him under. Deblank struggled to stay afloat, his life vest the only thing keeping his head above water. For hours he drifted, the sun beating down on him mercilessly. Sharks circled, their cold, dead eyes watching him with predatory hunger. He was alone, lost in a watery wilderness with no land in sight. But Deblank refused to give up hope. He had faced death before, had stared it in the eye, and lived to tell the tale. This time would be no different. With every ounce of strength he could muster, he kicked his legs and paddled his arms, willing himself forward inch by agonizing inch. Land. It was a distant promise, a mirage shimmering on the horizon. But Deblank clung to it as a drowning man clings to a life preserver. It was his only hope, his only salvation. Section 6. The Kindness of Strangers. After what felt like an eternity, his strength finally gave out. His legs buckled, and he fell to the ground, unable to take another step. Exhausted, Deblank collapsed onto the beach, his body sinking into the soft, warm sand. The sand was a welcome respite from the relentless assault of the waves. He had made it to shore against all odds. He had survived the ocean's fury, a feat that seemed impossible just hours before. But his ordeal was far from over. Ahead of him lay the dense, unforgiving jungle. He was weak, dehydrated, and delirious from the sun's relentless heat. The jungle loomed before him, a dark and dangerous labyrinth filled with unknown perils. He knew that he had to find help, but the vast expanse of the jungle offered no clear path. He didn't know where to turn. Every direction looked the same, filled with dense foliage and shadows. He was lost, alone, and surrounded by danger. The sounds of the jungle were both eerie and intimidating. As he stumbled through the jungle, his body racked with pain and exhaustion, he felt his hope dwindling. His body was racked with pain and exhaustion, every step a monumental effort. Then he came across a group of natives. They were dressed in traditional attire, their eyes watching him intently. They were wary of him at first, their eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, unsure of his intentions. Their eyes were filled with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, as they cautiously approached the stranger in their midst. But Deblank, desperate for help, managed to communicate his plight to them through gestures and broken words. He managed to communicate his plight to them, his desperation evident in his every gesture. To his surprise, they responded with compassion. Their initial wariness gave way to empathy. They took him to their village, where they fed him, gave him water, and treated his wounds with care and attention. They didn't speak his language, but their actions spoke volumes. Their gestures were universal, a language of kindness and humanity that needed no translation. They were showing him kindness, offering him a glimmer of hope in the midst of his despair. Their kindness offered him a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair, a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity can shine through. Section 7. Rescue from Paradise Lost. The natives, it turned out, were no strangers to the war. They had lived through the chaos and destruction that came with it. They had seen their fair share of fighting, with battles raging across their once peaceful lands. They had witnessed firsthand the brutality of the conflict that had engulfed their island home, leaving scars both visible and invisible. But amidst the horror, they had also witnessed acts of courage and compassion, moments that restored their faith in humanity. They recognized these qualities in Deblank, seeing in him a reflection of their own resilience and bravery. They knew that he was an enemy soldier, a man from the other side of the conflict, but they also saw him as a fellow human being, someone who was lost and in need of their help, just like any of them could be, someone who was lost and in need of their help. Their compassion knew no boundaries. For several days they cared for him, tending to his wounds and providing him with the care he desperately needed, nursing him back to health with the limited resources they had, showing remarkable ingenuity and kindness. They shared their food and shelter with him, offering what little they had without hesitation, treating him not as a captive but as a guest, a testament to their enduring humanity. Then, one day, a group of coast watchers, vigilant and ever watchful, Australian soldiers tasked with monitoring enemy activity in the region, stumbled upon the village, their presence a beacon of hope. The natives, recognizing that these were allies of the man they had rescued, did not hesitate. They alerted them to Deblank's presence, ensuring his safety and well-being. The coast watchers were astonished to find an American pilot alive and well in such a remote location, a miracle in the midst of war. They wasted no time in contacting the American forces, relaying the incredible news, and soon a rescue plane was dispatched to bring Deblank back to safety, a journey from peril to salvation. Section 8. A Hero's Due. Deblank's return to Allied lines was nothing short of a miracle. He had survived a harrowing ordeal, one that would have broken a lesser man. He had stared death in the face and emerged victorious, his spirit unbroken. His story spread like wildfire, becoming a tale whispered in hushed tones from the front lines to the halls of power. He became a symbol of courage, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of the American fighting man. He had not only survived impossible odds, but had done so with honor and grace, earning the respect of both his allies and his former captors. For his extraordinary heroism, Deblank was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration that can be bestowed upon an American soldier. It was a testament to his bravery, his skill, and his unwavering dedication to duty. Section 9. A Legacy Forged in Courage. After the war, Deblank returned to civilian life, but his experiences during the conflict continued to shape his life. The memories of the battles he fought and the comrades he lost stayed with him, influencing his every decision and action. He remained in the Marine Corps Reserve, rising to the rank of lieutenant colonel. His dedication to the military never wavered, and he continued to serve his country with the same fervor and commitment he had shown during the war. He also pursued a career in education, earning advanced degrees in math, physics, and education. His thirst for knowledge was insatiable, and he believed that education was the key to a better future for all. He dedicated his life to sharing his knowledge and experience with others, inspiring countless students with his stories of courage and perseverance. His classrooms were filled with tales of bravery and lessons on the importance of never giving up. He believed that the lessons he had learned in the crucible of war, the importance of courage, determination, and compassion, were just as relevant in times of peace. He often spoke about how these values could transform lives and communities. Jefferson Deblank's story is a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human will. His life was a shining example of how one person can make a difference. No matter the odds, it is a story of courage, resilience, and the power of hope. His journey from a young soldier to a revered educator and community leader is a beacon of inspiration. It is a story that will continue to inspire generations to come. His legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of those he touched, a testament to the enduring power of a life well lived. He was a true American hero, a man who embodied the very best of his nation. His contributions to both the military and education sectors are remembered with great respect and admiration. He passed away in 1996, leaving behind a legacy that will never be forgotten. His story continues to inspire, reminding us all of the power of courage, dedication, and hope.